Hey everyone, my name is Emma and welcome back to Story Central, your center for all the best stories on Reddit. My girlfriend and I are both 23, been together for 4 years at this point, and had a pretty good relationship, or so I thought. I'm in college and working part-time, so I can pay the bills. She does this too, but we do not live together. I'm a very romantic guy, so every time we were together, I was all over her, kissing, hugging, that's my love language, and she did it too. But a few weeks ago she started pulling away from me, stopped initiating, etc. I knew what was up. I've read enough stories from here to know what was coming my way. I started to pull away as well and dropped simple hints that I knew something, but did not confront her, didn't touch her either for that entire week. I think that did the trick because at the end of the week she confessed, but of course with much gaslighting. But weirdly she did not blame shift anything, drops out that she have been going on random dates for 2 weeks at that point. She already had like 5 of them. She said the whole I want to explore thing, and I just agreed. I knew this was over, but didn't want her to explode at that point by ending things, so I just played along. She proposed an open relationship with some rules, like not sleeping over, no more than 1 or 2 dates with the same person and not sleeping with friends, and I agreed. I'm a kinda good-looking guy. I'm not very pretty, but I take care of myself. That has been enough for having some flirting from girls in college or from work, so I knew I would have a bunch of dates without dropping a sweat. She is a pretty girl, so she had her share too, but when I was at her place and had a date that night, she would just stare at me while I dressed up, and I knew she was jealous, but I just couldn't give a shot. We barely had sex and the affection I gave her before did not exist anymore. She's grown a little depressed over the course of 3 weeks, and last night she asked to close up the relationship. And I couldn't hold it, so I blasted out laughing and told her no. She was the one that wanted to keep a relationship and didn't lift a single finger to work for it. So then I didn't give a damn about it too. I just ended things right there and then and went out for my date. Today she is blowing up my phone asking for forgiveness and to be back together. I didn't respond, but she's gone as far as to give me a hall pass for sleeping around. Now I'm here, writing this stuff trying to think why, but I don't think I'll find out. Thanks for hearing my vent. It's now Christmas afternoon here, and her family has just passed by and greeted me, thanking me for being a good son-in-law for them for the last year, and apologized for their daughter's behavior. That caught me off guard, because I didn't think that my ex would tell them the truth about the nature of our breakup, especially with the fact that they hadn't contacted me in any way over those 2 months that had passed. This is the fact that triggered me to update on my situation. About my situation with my ex. Now there is none. It has been a little bit more than a month with no contact, and I'm very happy with that. We maintained a little bit of contact, but not the normal one, I must say, LOL. She was stalking me on my social media, leaving creepy responses on other girls' comments with random accounts. Every time I blocked one, she created the other 2. How did I know it was her? She told me while chasing me. She camped outside my house on a weekend day, waiting for me to come out and ambushing me into talking to her again. When I opened my garage to start working on my bike, she just jumped right in and tried hugging me. It's pretty pathetic. But I started running around my house with her after me, trying to catch me to do God knows what. I was able to call the police and got to hide inside my house again. My garage was still open though, so she kicked my bike down and screwed it up a little bit. Soon the cops arrived and got her arrested. She resisted, which made her situation worse. I testified and they let me go. She got admitted to a mental facility for some issues she already had, but hasn't been treated correctly, and mostly because of the psychotic breakdown she was having at the moment. I don't really know how she got that obsessed with me. We hadn't talked since I blocked her on the day of the post I made. But being no contact for that long again is giving me hope that this shitshow is about to end, my friends. I got a restraining order now and I hope to never see her again in my life. Not an idiot. That is a lot of drama in a short amount of time. She went from 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. Clearly you were better off without her in your life. The question is who can help her from deleting herself. And it wouldn't be your fault, so don't carry that guilt trip. Time is the essence of all good healing, but you can't rush it. This is a bit of a conundrum. Hope it works out well for you. Not an idiot. She overestimated her value, and she also underestimated yours. The reality of what she risked has finally set in. It happened to me in the military. My girlfriend broke up with me when her ex came to town. I went out that night, met another woman and brought another woman home. The next morning she pops up at my apartment to a half-naked woman walking around. Learned a valuable lesson from that incident. Women are allowed in my life because I want them, never because I need them. Now for the next story. My best friend was married for 10 years, with his ex for a total of 13 years. He was absolutely head over heels in love with her like I had never seen before. which I never understood due to her alcohol abuse. She would take it out on him, and when he'd be venting about it, he'd always fall back on "it's not her, it's the illness," a very respectable and admirable stance on it. Last year she asked for a divorce because after years of what I would call abuse, he had simply run out of gas. Her reasoning for asking for one: when she got fired for testing positive for weed, he wasn't empathetic enough. He admits he wasn't because it had come on the back of one of her drunken tirades where she told him he was a piece of shit who was always trying to control her, when all she ever tried to get her away from was booze for the way she treated him when she was drunk. It took him forever to move on from this, with the divorce following shortly after. And earlier this year, after thinking he was moving on, he called me to come over, and he's in a bad way. I arrive and he is absolutely drunk, going on that she didn't ask for a divorce for those reasons, that she had really been cheating with several other people. The next morning, when he's more coherent, I ask him how he knew. He was cleaning out the spare room and donating stuff he didn't need anymore, and when he went to clear an old tablet, she was still logged on and all of the evidence was there. He gets that out and says he's going back to bed and asks me to lock up when I leave. Before I left, I looked at the tablet. After seeing what I saw, I wanted to find a way to get even with the horrible and conniving woman, so I took pictures of it all and left. When I got home, I started looking up information about these people. 2 of them were just normal guys. Whether they knew she was married or not, I don't know. But the third comes up as a registered sex offender, still on probation for being such a disgusting pile of shit. An address listed as 123 Lane, City, State. Chomo knew that she was married. I immediately knew what I was gonna do. Chomo didn't live at 123 Lane. Chomo was living with the conniving ex. She made regular posts about their time together. On top of that, she is an avid weed user and has several firearms because she enjoys sport shooting. So I go into the state's sex offender site and make a report of Chomo not actually living where he's registered, and that Chomo is living in a home with what he has no right to, being a convicted felon and on parole. I include screenshots of the social media post and all to back it up. I was thinking little would happen but an inconvenience to their lives. Boy, was I wrong. She broke her typical post with "nothing serious" trend on social media yesterday. With this gem, my year can't get any worse. Chomo lost his job and I am now facing eviction because I can't afford my rent, so I go on the state court system site to see if it's related. And yes, it was. Chomo was rearrested. She clearly can't post bail or Chomo would be out. The job she took after being fired definitely can't support her lifestyle. So he's probably going back to prison or at least jail, and she's a breath away from being homeless. I don't know if I'd ever tell my best friend I was the one behind this, but he is definitely ecstatic to see a horrible woman and sewer rat get what they deserve. Part of me wants to put up the sex offender registration link and that it's sitting in jail and saying something to the effect of "it's a little more than losing a job," but not wanting to make my best friend's life harder, I'll just let the sleeping dog lie. If you tell him, he may wind up feeling sympathetic towards her and taking her back. Don't give him reason to feel guilt. To him, this was just karma catching up to her and confirmation that she deserves to stay in his past. Not an idiot. Thanks for being there for your friend. He's probably already done this, but if you feel comfortable mentioning he needs to get a doctor app to SOP, tell his doctor he found out his ex was unfaithful with multiple people and get tested. Better to know you have nothing than to find out you should have checked. My prayers are that your friend finds a woman who is deserving of him.